Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's play some quick music and get together, and we are going to start in just a few minutes. So let's start with something happy. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see who's here. Let's see who's here. Good morning, Barbie. She was like first one here. And hello, Knitting Yoga is here. Good morning, Anita. Luca, Sebnobrnia here. Hello, 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 everybody. Hopefully you guys doing well. It is really nice and kind of like warm in Toronto. Let me put this lower and lower and lower and lower so you can hear me. We don't have to compete with the music. So hopefully guys your weekend was okay. I really have to say this whole isolation thingy is kind of like getting to me. I don't know how you're feeling about all of that. Hello Faith Libra. So hopefully, you know, this is going to start to ease off a little bit. And Tiger is not feeling well. Why is this? Sorry, I have to check my doggo for a second. Looks like he's puking. What's up, Doogie? Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, are you okay? Are you okay? That's what happens when you swallow whole chunks of food instead of digesting it. Hey, baby. Don't know what was that special occasion, but he seems to be okay now. So hello everybody, and look at that, we have Miss Onia from Jamaica. Oh my goodness, anybody from Europe here? Anybody from Australia? That's kind of like really awesome when I see people from all over the world. So, oh, I didn't prepare my little thing for Barbie. Over here, let's see if I have any of these papers left. So Barbie is the one who is so diligently trying to make sure the timestamps are done on time. And there it is. I actually have a better one than this one. The last one, I need to print more. And I'm trying to help as much as I can. So happy birthday, Taurus. It's kind of like really interesting times that we are going through until I think the 13th, when Venus goes retrograde, because Venus rules your sign and Venus rules both beauty and money. So kind of like we need to kind of like set things in motion, like I mean really fast. So we only have 11 days left. After that, I would say it can get tricky starting a new relationship or starting a new business, because at that time, and let me have a sip of my coffee. Hopefully everybody else is having their own coffee. After that time, it's almost like that somebody pulls wool over your face, and you will really believe that the person is what you think it is, but they're not going to be that, and that rude awakening is going to happen later. Hello Chris, hello San Gerard. Like, it's awesome, guys, to see you. So because it's your birthday, Taurus, let's start with you. It's going to be a little bit shorter today because my dad was hospitalized last week with some heart issues, and he was also very confused, and it looks like there's like something in the artery, so the procedure will be done next week, but it didn't turn out to be as serious as it kind of like looked initially. So let's start. Taurus, 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 Taurus. Good morning, Taurus. There it is, up and down. Life has its good things, but it also has kind of like tricky things. So maybe you guys are starting this week sort of like having a little bit, I would not say confusion, this is not necessarily confusion, but still things kind of like get in a way when you see a card like this, right? It's a balancing, it's a balancing act of how to push things forward and what really to do, right? This to me actually really talks about more than anything else about life, and most of us are always kind of like trying to figure out how to kind of like keep our head above the water and how to kind of like keep our basically engines running. So it's always like an area of our, any area, one area or more areas of our lives that we need to attend to. But this is really telling me that somehow you're really protected. This is kind of like angelic realm that somehow is coming to, let's call it, rescue and making, look at that, it's almost like similar, while there is like this cord, but this cord is green, which means it's healthy. It's kind of like keeping that adrenaline going, and as long as we have adrenaline in normal dosages, it's kind of like pushing us to kind of like next level. I have tested it on the kitty cat that I used to have. Her name was Oscar, and I figure out that she's not male after she got pregnant, and then I call her Oski. So she was 15, and I thought, well, you know, that's an old age for a cat, and should I kind of like adopt another cat or no, right? So it took me really lots of thinking, especially when I found, well, basically found, rather rescued Matrix, and I brought him home. So I wondered if I should put him in Humane Society or keep him, because I thought it's going to bring stress on Oski. Or maybe she was 17 at that stage, maybe 17, and her daughter was 15. So I had two cats, and believe it or not, she had like second wind, third wind, ninth wind, whatever you want to call it. So a little bit of adrenaline, kind of like a little bit of stress. I really think it's actually beneficial. This is kind of like telling me that things are going to work really well. You're going to feel very grounded. You're going to feel protected. You're going to be looking at your resources and feeling comfort with it. This is also a practicality. So I think Tauruses are not going to care much about social distancing, because you're just going to want to celebrate. To you, celebration and connectivity, especially with your family and loved ones, is extremely important. So that's going to be something you'll go through. For some of you, it could be a little bit of kind of like element of unpredictability, because some things might really jump at you that you kind of like didn't see, and you will really have to deal with them in a hurry, and they might look like so either difficult or hard to get to it, but you're going to really kind of like admire yourself how quickly you kind of came to that solution. So good job, I would say. Let me just check it's birthday ladies and boys. See these like two of pentacles over here. Hey Kylie, there we have Australia, sun and moon, hello. Let me see this two of pentacles. What kind of weather, guys, do you have? We have really nice and warm in Toronto. It's not sunny, unfortunately, but it's 16 degrees, whatever that is. I guess these 16 and 30, 16 times, anyway, it's a weird formula, 2.3 times plus 32, so I'm not going to calculate now. So this is kind of coming through, especially to your love life, I think. Maybe it's kind of like you're wondering what's going to happen. Maybe some of you feeling that there is like, lack of intimacy in a relationship, because look at that, there is like some kind of like wooing. There is like some kind of like room that is really needing people to get into it. So get a room, right? So lovers getting a room. So I think you're really needing that expression. So I think this is especially for those who are in a relationship and you decided to kind of respect the guidelines that we have, but I really think that's going to go really out the window, especially if your birthday is upcoming week. It's going to be some kind of get together. It's going to be a really actually lovely moment or two. So there's like something you guys can really look forward to. It's going to be sort of like both scary and exciting at the same time. So maybe this is why I see some possibly unexpected changes coming through. So let me see, who do I draw next? Virgo was the last one on monthlies, so I'm going to do Virgo next. Virgo, Well, Kylie, we have 16 today, and we are heading into winter, on Monday. So this is kind of like, to me, the most annoying part of living in Canada, where I know that in Croatia it's already 25 degrees, and it's that way the entire April. So April and like this month and a half is the hardest part of year for me, and that's most of the time I get really depressed and down, and we don't know how to dress, because it's like not even day to day. It's like different in different times of a day. So let's see, Virgo, what we see here for you. So we see Ace of Wands reversed, Six of Pentacles reversed, and the Eight of Wands. Are you guys having an issue with somebody who possibly is coming from the past? I definitely am picking up, especially the message that is coming for Virgo today. There is like a third party. There is like some kind of involvement. There is like somebody who stepped in and is preventing you being with this person. You are really thinking that, well, if at least I get a chance, if at least I get an opportunity to say what I want, to say what I need, things will get better. But it kind of like, I think you feel that you have been taken advantage of. And I guess you see really nothing over there. I just don't even look at my camera. Let me see if this is going to improve over here. So let me have a sip of coffee until I see my camera catch up with what I see on the screen, or vice versa. Nothing is yet happening. So the Ace of Wands always really talks about issues that that are brewing, issues that need to be addressed, issues that maybe have no answer, but they're like still very prominent. They're like still in the kind of like before us. They're like still something like that is really, really important to you. This to me is a card about generosity, but like when it's reversed, it really tells me that somebody's really lacking the generosity. Maybe you have been here for the others, and now when it is their turn to be even small, to extend a small kindness toward you, they are just not there. Maybe you're hearing platitudes, maybe you're hearing even expressions of love, but you're not feeling them. And that's something that really worries you. Like, you have a very pragmatic sign, right? And because you're ruled with Mercury, communication is extremely important for you. However, in this period of time, there's like this essence that maybe something is going on and something is not exactly as basically advertised, right? So let me just see this. What do we see for these two negatives? And we have conversation. As I said, communication is very important to your journey. And then you have a thief and you have an old lady reversed. You might be dealing with somebody who maybe was dating you under guise that they are separated, or they're not involved, that they're like no kind of like other people in their lives, right? But I really feel there's like something over here that is making you really wonder about that, or they're maybe back with the original family in the name of quote-unquote children. And the thief card is kind of like really telling, really, to me, right? It's still negative card even when it's reversed, right? Even though we have really positive cards. But I really think this is what you're going to say. You're going to call some conversation. You're going to call something, and you're going to wonder why you're getting deliberately misleading information, right? It's almost like it's going to just pretty much reinforce what I said, that somebody's really taking advantage of the situation, and that there are like some kind of like dishonest action, and that you feel really that somebody is either not telling you the truth, or basically almost like pretending to be a victim under guise of, I'm just doing it for the kids, or, well, yes, I did go and see my ex because she's just not handling this whole well. That kind of like situation, which kind of like is making it really hard for you to really say anything. But be very careful about the situation, and be very careful what kind of commitments you are making in this particular situation, because I do feel that if this person is not lying, if this person is really thinking, oh, well, I didn't know and I'm just trying to remedy the situation and this, then they could be some kind of like bigger issues in your relationship than this. Because clearly, if the person is not in touch with who they are and what they need and what they want and their priorities, you really need to kind of like think through all of that. So we did Taurus, we did Virgo, so we did 2 earth signs. Well, what the heck, let's do the third one. Capricorn. Capricorn. Well, Kylie, today is 16, but I came in yesterday in the morning like it's like 6. It was 6. I had to have a winter coat. And then I went to the store just like an hour later. I was boiling. I had to take my coat down. So I was like in the evening in short sleeves. So what do I tell you? Like in the morning I went into like light jacket to walk tiger. And like by the end of the walk I was like already boiling. So it's really difficult. So this would be Capricorn. You have Ace of Swords, you have the Empress, you have the Star, and you have a Temperance. So first and foremost, Karma card. Came through about some lies. It came through about some maybe quietness. Sometimes there's like a pregnant pause, as they call it, right? Where we really are trying to figure out either what to say or or kind of like figure out the situation. So there is like possibly some situation, maybe you guys put yourself on the pedestal, maybe somebody else put you on the pedestal, or you put somebody else like, I mean, so high and above. The Empress is yes, it is guided by Venus, and something is kind of like, it's almost like looking too good to be true, and yet it's almost like the words are not corresponding to actions over here, I would say. Maybe somebody's telling you, oh, I don't love you, or I don't want to be with you, but actually they do. Maybe it's the vice versa. Maybe they're telling you, no, no, everything is okay, but they're like issues. It just kind of confuses me because this one came before all of these cards, and there are 3 major arcanas, which kind of like really talks to me about really big major things happening. So these 2 cards to me are always very, very similar, because we have a human who is naked and angel who is all dressed up, which should be the other way around, kind of like if you really think about it. And they're both kind of like dealing with nourishment of some sort, right? So she's just like replenishing the planet, replenishing everything after disaster. She's like that hope that, hey, you know, we have lost everything, but things can and will get better. While Temperance is saying, well, you know what, I can make things happen no matter how different you are, no matter how much, you know, like you think you cannot, that you're like grown apart, I can make things happen. So there is like this association and spark and kind of like really belief in the better future. So I think altogether this is like unbelievable good card. Like there is like something that is pushing you move forward, and pushing you move forward like with a great speed, with a great anticipation, with a great willingness to remedy things. So there's going to be hopefulness, but be careful that this happens this week, and be careful of what hasn't been said. It's very important. So I'm going to clarify this card to clarify things in order for this to make it work, because this is absolutely lovely. But if foundation is not built properly, all of that will collapse. So you guys know it. So let me see, what is this Ace of Swords telling us a little more over here. Telling this. Is anybody else having a coffee, or this is just me kind of having coffee with you? And there it is. Look, the only few cards came through. These wanted, and this one, and this one. So we have Thief, we have Enemy, we have a Lord, and then we have Lover, and then we have Consolation. Now, I really have to tell you, for years I'm doing this, and I'm dealing this with this Gypsy cards or Sibylla. This is the strangest thing I have seen it. Well, we have the Lord reversed, and then we have Lover upright. So this can talk about a male in a situation, and it could be 2 types, it could be 2 even different people, and this is it. Are you for me, with me, are you against me? Because actually it could be even 3 males over here. Maybe somebody has surplus of admirers, that could be seen that way, but it's only one that is the right one, only one. Interestingly enough, so this is what is really telling me. Thief is like that, kind of like taking things away. There's like somebody in the situation, and that's why this is happening, who feels that they're getting a short end of the stick, and like literally they feel almost like that the destiny and the other people are maybe against them. Like Enemy is like always talking about possibly cheating, or possibly something else happening, some kind of like disappointment in a situation, not really kind of like having the best possibly attitude. So maybe like that there is like somebody who is, maybe there is like a friend who is disrupting a relationship, there's like something that is causing emotional distress, kind of a thing, right? It is positive card when it reverses. It's possibly some kind of like ending of hostility, because Thief and this, I don't know, maybe you guys felt that somebody is married or engaged otherwise, there's like with somebody you maybe didn't want to work it out, you put yourself on a pedestal, or vice versa if you're like on the other side, something was blocking this progress. But now this is kind of like going in this direction where things can actually really work out, but it's kind of like very small step forward, very small step forward, but nonetheless it's going to be, in retrospect, something that is going to be big and something that is going to have really big impact on you and on your future. So again, very important to communicate, very important to tell the truth, and also demand that the truth is told as well. So hopefully that kind of like works for you guys as well. So let me see. Hi China, how are you doing? Okay, so let me see which is the other group. Let's go with water. Any Scorpios here? Any Scorpios? So Scorpio, the sun and moon is in Ireland. 17, so you're just like us. So I feel a little bit better now. Like I usually really feel that Canada is so cold this time of the year, but then we get much warmer in the summer than most Europe. So what can I tell you? It's really weird. Scorpio. Scorpio. We have 5 of Pentacles, we have Ace of Cups, and we have 3 of Wands. Melancholy, an old woman. And for this one, we have service and a friend. It looks to me you're discontinuing something. Maybe there is a friendship that came to an end. It doesn't make sense anymore. Maybe you have to choose between friendship and a relationship of some sort. It kind of like also feels, you might be feeling a little bit depressed. Like, I mean, there is a situation over here. Like, I mean, 5 of Pentacles is that really weird card. And to me, I really have to be honest, it always talks about being excluded. Look at it, it's 2 of them. Neither of them is really doing well. But they're like walking by this church, which is supposed to be, and you can even see it, like, I mean, hidden anchor over here. And they're supposed to go in there and ask for food and ask for shelter. So what have they done that they feel that the church is not the place where they can turn to, right? There's like something that happened that maybe you find the doors closed for one reason or another, right? It also could be here, guys, that there's like a sense of loss of some sort, right? You might be looking to, you might have a counselor or some sort of the thing, because that's what the old woman basically to me represents, that actually can step in a situation. Also melancholy is like precursor of depression, right? So it can be some kind of resignation or some kind of sacrifice and trying to find strength to start again. Maybe there is going to be some separation with a partner. In your case over here, you will be really having lots of thoughts that will talk about regrets and maybe past mistakes and possibly even the loss of a loved one. But that could be also, because it's a pentacle, financial stresses of some kind of like disappointment, right? Having said that, like, I mean, you are realizing, you know what is a go-to, like there is like a wise counsel of some sort that can actually really help you push through, right? So this is really telling me that you really need to accept your past and you need to gather your thoughts and focus what needs to be done in order to kind of like move in a situation. And of course you go back to what you feel really comfort with, right? Ace of Cups is like this new spark, a new beginning. Maybe you have been at the odds with somebody really meaningful to you, and then now you're kind of like making up and kind of like getting back together, right? There is like a sense of some kind of like finality in this particular week. Even though like it almost looks like you're like reviving something, it also feels like, I don't know, maybe you have one of those relationships on and off, and it feels like, well, this is it. If it doesn't work this time, I just cannot like try anymore. I really don't want to try anymore, right? And then you have like this three of wands, but it's reversed, which is like this card of ships. And who am I? What is this relationship representing? I said already that there is a friend, or possibly your best friend, that kind of like it's fading away. And you know, it could feel like uncertain. You might feel difficulties possibly at work, because this can also be very kind of like entrepreneurial, adventurous kind of like situation, right? Maybe you feel that you don't have immediate circle of people who are supportive to you, right? And it could mean that somebody is, you know, like when you need like that soft place to fall, instead of that, they are really kind of adding insult to an injury kind of a thing. And maybe there's like somebody who is unfaithful, or somebody who cannot keep a secret, or somebody who always you have some kind of argument, or there are like some kind of like different issues. So it's going to be lots of different things that will be going through your head. Like on the surface, you're not going to really show this, but you clearly will be thinking deep thoughts. So it's a really wise decision to talk it out somewhere, because I can see how things can percolate and brew inside and not to help your mental health. So it's really important to also understand who is here with you and who basically needs to go. And it's going to be one of those weeks. Isn't this kind of interesting? Like, I mean, in these times, then when we have a little bit more times to spend with ourselves, how we are kind of like working with that in that direction. All right, Cancer. Let's talk about Cancer. Cancer. Happy CATURDAY. Look at this, Misonia Fates. Oh my gosh, Barbie, you're such a happy person. I love you to death. So, I love the little pause. I love the little pause. Who did I say I'm doing? Cancer. 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 Look, we have a Scorpio rising in Venus. Catherine. San Gerard, hello. What? It's freezing here in Northern California. You liar. You should come to Toronto and see what freezing means. Californians are so spoiled. Okay, fun fact. How many of you knew, I mean, I'm pretty sure that most of you think that Canada is very, very cold, which possibly is true for the northern part, right? But that's why most Canadians just live on around the border. But how many of you knew that the very, very south part of Canada will be on the same parallel as the northern part of California? And that very, very south part of Canada is in Ontario. So, hey, this is like a fun fact, right? So, Cancer. We have Nine of Wands, we have Nine of Cups, and then we have the Chariot, your card. Well, I don't know like where to go with this. This is all good, better, the best, pretty much happening over here. Except I'm going to say that you'll feel very adventurous. You're going to start feeling very enthused about doing something. You're going to find really joy, and almost looks like it might be even a solitary activity, and we know Cancer is a sometimes you want to do that, because this Nine of Cups, and it's kind of like weird. This dude I sometimes like and sometimes don't like. This time I actually do like him. He has this like big table. He has almost like a wine tasting event over here of some sort. I also feel that, guys, you might be having a fire or possibly even air element in your life, element person in your life who is going to kind of like trigger a certain kind of like feeling of well-being of some sort. There's really even nothing for you to clarify, because the Chariot means that maybe you're going to feel like, this can also mean falling in love. This can also mean reviving something, but it also doesn't mean anything permanent, because The knights are pretty much in and out. They are sent to battle, but they are kind of pull out to battle, so they are like not really staying because they're always ready for departure. And Chariot is the boss of all knights, and Chariot has like this big kind of like attitude of pushing things through. Also, these two sphinxes that we are talking about, is there such a thing as plural sphinxes? Like they're pushing in their own direction. So there is like this presence of mind and presence of will, which can be also very spiritual. As you can see, he's kind of like linking with a star over here, and it's kind of like really a vision. He's actually leaving the town he's from, and usually this really tells me about being goal oriented, moving in some new direction. The only thing that I can warn a little bit over here, if there is such a thing, is that you might have like too much your head in the clouds versus really paying attention. So maybe you can get too much swept off the feet by somebody waltzing in your life, or possibly by somebody from your past. But nonetheless, even either way, you are just simply going in the direction that suits you. So in the end, I'm really not going to be that concerned, but so be it. It looks like this weekend you're going to have really good time, and there'll be lots of communication going on. So enjoy, Cancer. So who can conclude which sign is going to be next, giving the pattern that I am using today? So Barbie, which sign is next? Which sign is next? It's going to be Pisces. Okay. So we have 2 of Wands, we have the Sun, and we have this 8 of Cups. There's like some kind of time of healing. You're like clearly moving away from some sense of indecision, some sense of waiting for somebody to provide you the answers or provide you solutions of some sort. The Sun is really good. There is like some kind of clarity. You're finally kind of like reaching out. You see, in the situation, he is really contemplating first and foremost. Look, one is being like one wand is being kept on top of it and held in his hand, while on the other hand, like, he's holding this world, which represents his will to build a world for himself or venture into something else. But there is like something also holding him back, because this one is still bolted to the wall, right? But nonetheless, there is like this beginning stage of thought and planning and how to go in this direction. And here is like the celebration of this motion of something going on. In your case, it could have been that something went from the darkness to the light, that maybe you felt doom and gloom and things kind of like really didn't go well, and now you're feeling very energized. This also could mean that that you're really connecting to your children and like to your family, kind of like that sort of thing. But could be like also newfound enthusiasm. Maybe this is you, maybe there is somebody else. In the very end, there's like some kind of like element of, I need to be true to myself. I need to find what works the best for me, right? Whether this is you walking away or there is somebody else walking away. Maybe there's like a sense of kind of like feeling that things are not necessarily working out in the best interest. And sometimes we really want to make things work with another person, in spite of seeing basically right in our face that, hey, we are too different. This can be just a patch. It's never going to be a permanent solution. But we want what we want, because that's the beautiful thing about us humans. But here's this understanding and saying, okay, I at least need to try and really need to see how this would be working. Hi, CBO Music. Good morning. Yeah, I see conversation, and then it's like this more misfortune reversed over here. maybe this is the thing. Sometimes we just really don't even want to have a conversation because we do know that that can be poking into, you know, horn's nest of some kind of like sort, right? Don't be like that girl who poked the horn's nest, right? So when this card misfortune kind of like reversed, gets reversed, it gets significantly more negative. So think about tower squared, except this is much worse than tower, and the reason for that is like not only are people jumping off, but people are burning inside over here. And so there is like this kind of like time of possibly some kind of like obstacle, but for some reason I'm thinking it is you. I think this is kind of like you feeling that, hey, you know, maybe this is a loss but it's a win, because finding yourself is more important than really anything else, because the sun, whenever the sun shows up, it kind of like minimizes any negative cards that are really showing coming through, right? This might mean that you want wedding because the sun is also considering all the celebration, that you want this commitment, you want something, and that somebody is just like, yeah, no, and let's do this, and you are kind of like really tired of that. Somebody continuously dangling the future in front of you on the little carrot stick, it's never happening, right? So you really need to kind of like figure it out, that this also kind of like it's really important for you, except this card also means that somebody who walks away doesn't necessarily walks away for good. That's one of those cards. It could mean that, hey, you know what, you off you go on your own, see what you need. Sometimes you need to give people a gift of missing you, which I think actually ultimately means, because this is extremely negative card, possibly the most negative card in this entire deck. But when this card is kind of like associated with positive future cards, such as like, I mean, love or wedding, which in tarot would be this card, it suggests basically the end of misfortune and kind of like some kind of like resurgence of hope. And the 8 is connecting to the star card, which is the hope card. So star card is 17 and 1 in 7 is 8. So there is like a clear construct over here. So I really think it's going to be really important to be extremely blunt in this situation, and really insist on what you want, and it's going to be happening this particular week. So it kind of like all starts to make sense. Most likely it's going to end really well. It might not end well this particular week, but just give somebody ability to understand how you feel, and I really think that's going to be very, very important. So I think it's a time for our doors, guys. So make a question, think of a question of some sort, and let me find a deck. Let's grab this one, Morgan Greer. We can grab this. I have a have a sip of coffee over here. Let's see. So door number 1. Door number 2. And 55 degrees. Yeah, that's not very warm, but I mean, we would in Toronto be so happy to have this. I'm glad to see you, CBO Music Live. Probably wouldn't be here if we had the sun right now, and it really sucks. We finally had a really warm weekend, and then the sun is really shining away. So let's see. Let me remove the cover over here. This is my first coffee today. It feels so good. So the people who took the door number 1, you got 4 of Wands reversed. Well, you already knew the answer to this question. You already knew that things will happen. It might take a little bit longer than you kind of like anticipate, but there's like something moving forward. There's something moving forward in a very pragmatic way. and it will possibly need cooperation of not only one person, but like maybe 3 more people, which is going to be really important to push it forward. It is about some kind of celebration or something of that kind of like thing, right? So door number 2, you got 10 of Swords reversed. Now this is also talking about some kind of promise or some kind of anticipation, and maybe you want somebody to suit your pain or come through and tell you that things that have been done, almost like the fairy tale kind of ending, no, I didn't mean it, and that sort of a thing, right? But there is like lots of pain and lots of bad things that have happened in this particular situation. When it reverses, it is really talking about recovery. It is saying that things are moving forward. It is saying that things are going to get better. But it's going to be a long process. It's going to take lots of words. It's going to take lots of healing for this particular things to come through. So lots of healing means you'll have to move slower, and you will depend on the other people and yourself comprehending the situation and resolving it inside of yourself. And then we have the door number 3, and we have the 6 of Wands. So this is like a highly, it could be also a sexual card, could be very phallic. This is very, very much yes. And I will say that actually in your own head, you don't believe this will happen. You don't believe that some things can get through, but they will get through. People think much better of you and you're going to be seen in a very favorable way. You're going to be seen as reasonable, as loving, as admirable, as the one to beat. So it's going to be extremely positive for this kind of things. All right, so who do we do next? Let's go with Sagittarius. 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 Guys, I only have 10 likes and 29 concurrent viewers, so please click on that like button, as Barbie is like asking so sweetly. So let's see. Sagittarius. Saggies and Saggies. Whoa, Saggies, what happened over here? Like there is like this essence of things are falling apart. There's like this 3 of Swords. To me, this is always a freaking third party. It's always like something that is affecting the family. There is like some imbalance. There's like maybe some financial issues. You're dealing with marriage or relationship situation. You're dealing with children, and you're dealing with finances. It looks like it could be really overwhelming. There is like some sense of ending something over here. There is like either infidelity or infidelity of the third party interference really coming to the fore. You are going to have some conversation with the family about that, which is going to really be explosive. It's going to start really affecting, like, from your parents to your children. And it's going to feel like that somebody, either you or somebody, is like literally taking advantage of you. It's almost like, or vice versa, that is kind of like one party is like give, another party is like take. So it's going to be really difficult, and it almost is going to be a week where certain things need to be completely clarified and need to kind of like be pushed into kind of a completely different direction. So this is going to be a very different this time around. So the family at the same time is something that makes you stronger, sometimes it makes you feel better, and so it is kind of like really prominent over here. Hi Lorna, good morning. Let me see what is hiding behind that. Like, this is so weird. It came right out of the gate. Like, you also will have a little bit of tower moment and going to feel a little bit kind of like down and maybe a little bit even gloomy. I have to say, look at that. Enemy and love. Clearly, it's either you or it's happening to you. That there is a possible third party, that there is like the love ending, and that you feel that somebody else is interfering with a relationship, with your life, with your family, especially if you're living with somebody or if you're married. And look at here, we have melody and we have widower. Like there is like an element of depression in this particular situation, and you're trying to put a brave face and trying to face the obstacles, but oh my goodness, you're like not, you like your mental health is suffering. There's like certain sadness about the situation over here that is really happening. I mean, the widower card is technically talking about a person who did get over that initial hump and shock of somebody not being in his life. However, now he's coming to the grave. Interestingly enough, he's like wearing these gloves. To me, this is also talking about that, you know, he's still not sure, not willing to kind of like touch the world if you really think about it, right? So it can be some kind of regrets. It could be like also trying to get to the point of possibly needing to accept the situation is over. And that can mean lots of things, just as I said. It could be a loss of separation, or that loss can mean loss of a job or a bad deal, right? Or loss of a friend or loved one. But overall, there's like some kind of like feeling of sadness or guilt and regret can be very suffocating, right? So unless it's literally representing a widowed person or someone who has not moved past the loss of somebody, right? So it's going to be clearly a period of possible solitude, possible sadness, and possible of asking yourself what is really important. You kind of like know that family is very important, but you really don't know what to do with that information. So you really need to clear that in your head to accept what is important to you and kind of like work toward this goal. But it also tells me there's like something about your past, because this is the thing from the past, this is the thing from the past that is really affecting your family, which needs to be clarified. So guess that probably would be a good thing to move forward, my dear Sagittarians. Okay, so who do we do next? Let's do Aries. 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 I'm trying to see where is my furry baby who got sick before the reading. I think he's sleeping. Temperance and Hierophant and King of Wands. Almost like the shorter readings are harder, and that's why I stopped having 15-minute readings on my website, because I need to clarify, re-clarify in order to really see a bigger picture. It's almost like sometimes when people ask you, oh, tell me, how do you say this word in Croatian? And you need to have the whole context in order to really tell them, because it can be completely different thing. So Temperance and Hierophant, really interesting combination. Somebody like they're almost like the opposite, right? Even though technically it's the same vibration. 14 is like vibration of 5, but this is like, I mean, angelic realm, and this is like somebody saying that has a connection with God, and it's basically interpretation of the words of God and so on and so forth, right? But this is more or less, these are the rules and you better follow the rules, while this one is like, no, I can do anything. It's kind of like free flowing of some sort. But whether this is you or this is somebody in your life, it just kind of like, it's really hard, because it could be just that you, on one hand, you just really want to kind of like pave your own path, which kind of is very Mars, very Aries, masculine, and you know, you want to go in this direction, but you feel that you're saddled with the rules, and that can be that kind of like rebelliousness, kind of like flying off the handle and kind of like going in a completely new direction. But this is not necessarily a good thing. It almost looks like when you're suppressed for too long, that you simply just kind of look lucid, and this is like person driving like 200 miles per hour on a highway. It's just like kind of like, and it kind of like doesn't make sense, because possibly this whole limitations that we are all going through are affecting you the most, because you're like the most kind of like the highest energy sign, so subduing you, it's like literally kind of like waiting for this pressure cooker to really explode, and that really doesn't surprise me. But this is also telling you, on the other hand, that it's basically what's going to happen if you do not kind of like organize yourself to kind of like really figure out like what kind of rules and how to really implement them in your life. So I want to see this King of Wands and to see why is this really happening over here. It's just like I'm almost like feeling like this nervousness. I'm feeling irritability happening over here, and I'm feeling at the same time that you truly want to respect all the rules. You truly want to protect your family. You truly want to protect your loved ones. But at the same time, it is just like, hey, you're telling a cat not to go after the fish which is in front of you. It's almost like impossible of some kind of like sort. And then you have Lord and you have service. Oh Lord, give me a service. Lord is like somebody in this particular deck, somebody who is well-to-do. Lord can represent somebody who is either very successful, or somebody who I guess could be a married man, or somebody who has certain status, right? Somebody who is really well educated. So somebody is definitely accepting or demanding almost elitist status. Like, like somebody feels I'm more worthy of getting something. So this is clearly kind of like this could be simply somebody, a boss turning rogue of some sort. But at the same time, I really don't think that you're going to have any kind of like major consequences. It's going to be possible just a little bit of freak out of some sort, but at the same time, it's going to just be enough to let go of all of this pent up energy and to restore your health, to be in a good shape and healthy, energetic. I really think you guys missing sports, and that's something really coming here strongly. And almost like it tells me that if you're single, that you are going to start feeling very sexually appealing to the others. This can also represent the employer. Maybe somebody's asking like for way too much, something that is really hard to do, and some other professional, and it can be kind of like encounter with this person. If you're female, this actually could mean that you're meeting somebody who has many qualities that you're really looking for in a man, and almost like there's like something that you have been looking for a long time. But at the same time, instead of like you idolizing this person, you're going to like quickly learn, hey, this person is also imperfect, and that's going to be even more appealing to you than anything else. So anything can happen, guys, but I really think you're like landing back on your feet, trying to figure out how to really work the system, how to work the situation for you, please the bosses who are like maybe unpleasable, and still kind of like continuing to move forward, soldier on kind of a thing. So the last one from the fire signs is Leo. So Leo, and a sip of coffee. Leo. Any Leos over here? I have my moon in Leo, full moon in Leo. In fact, the most exposed is Leo. All right, Leo. You have 10 of Wands reversed. You have 2 of Pentacles, and you have a Page of Pentacles. I think you're like finding yourself in some kind of situation which is a little bit tricky. I mean, both of these cards, the 10 of Pentacles is really talking, look at this as you're hiding over here. 10 of Pentacles is talking about some hardship, or trying to move forward in spite of things kind of like in your way, kind of like sort of things, right? But it is reversed. So certain things are coming to the surface, certain things are becoming very visible. Maybe you're becoming very cognizant of certain things around you, which could be in your relationship. You're finding certain things about your partner or at work, something about your coworker, and you're trying to kind of like balance this whole situation. You're trying to find practical ways of, I guess, not to hurt anybody, and kind of like finding a path. Like Page of Pentacles is also talking about education, and I'm not so sure how this really steps in. Clearly, I mean, it looks like, and this is what is hiding, that you might be having two parties that you really need to please, or that somebody is really taking advantage of you, because the Page of Pentacles could mean that somebody is thinking of you as lesser of them, or lesser in the situation. A Page of Pentacles is just something that should be moving forward, but is like moving slow at the best of circumstances. But when it's reversed, it's like even slower than that. So there is like some situation that is like up in the air, and because of the situation, it's kind of like really like almost like walking like a tightrope, that you really know it's a situation where you shouldn't be getting involved. And that's what I would advise here as well, for some reason. Two of Pentacles can mean that somebody is juggling something, whether this is you or somebody else, so keep that in mind. This could also mean involvement of children, and kind of like not maybe being concerned about their educational aptitude and everything, how the school year is going to happen. It could mean that as well. So this is for all the cards that we have here. We have a gift reversed, we have misfortune, and we have melody. Now, these are not extremely exciting cards, I'll give you this. A gift means, again, gift technically is, if something comes to the surface, is a gift, but you're not seeing it as a gift. You are saying to yourself, I wish I didn't see that, I wish I didn't know that, I would feel so much happier without that, right? And misfortune again is like, maybe something happened to somebody and you need to step in, and you really don't want to step in, because this can kind of like talk about the loss of some sort, and it could be a loss of partners, loss of lover, loss of love, error of some kind of like sort, right? It could mean a rift with your partner, with your family, with your child, with a coworker, or something like that. But at the same time, this card can also talk about that out of the ashes something new is kind of like coming through, and so on and so forth, which I think is going to be your case. However, that rebuilding some situation is going to take a very long time, and this melody thing is really telling me it's going to be really hard on you, almost like that you're forced in a situation that you really don't want to be in. And it could be coping with the situation, maybe unpleasant changes of some sort, right? Maybe you're dealing, with some kind of like jealousy or envy, or some kind of like injustice in love. But you might be also dealing with some kind of like turbulent relationship and confusion of some sort. So do not ignore the symptoms. So just, you need to really take a break this particular week, kind of like take one step in front of another, one day at a time, and tend to problem. And be very alert, because that's going to be very important. And don't make any hasty or rash decisions, because that also is going to be very important. Be very careful about indiscretion, whether that is you, that you will reveal something, or somebody else, and it's going to be extremely important in this upcoming period of time. All right, and now we are going into air signs. So who is first? Let's do Libra. Libra. CBO music, work, it's back and forth, out of my control, our lives are all on hold. I know, it just like feels like I was thinking like they were calling me from the hospital and saying, oh, your dad is very confused and he doesn't know what day it is. I said, well, I don't know what day it is, and like, I mean, just let's not take that against him, right? I get it. So, like, it just like they're weird times, really. So kids all need to move back home. We're all moving forward. It feels like we're all going backwards. Well, no, we are standing in a spot, and that's what means hello. Hello. Do you love all of these people on the live chat? Do you? No, that was not convincing yes. Come on. You are supposed to be a cheerleader here. Can you be a cheerleader for Zach? Yes, you're a pretty girl. You're a pretty girl. I love you. Sapphie, do you love me? You see, even she's in a mood. Even she is in a mood. All right, Libra. Libra, you got a special visitor. You have a King of Pentacles. So that's the Taurus transition. Then you have a Strength reverse. And then you have like a Ten of Swords reverse. So King of Pentacles is feeling comfort about who you are, where you are, how you're moving. And I really think this is really telling me, when is the 13th? So you still have time. That you maybe are even starting a new venture. Maybe you're starting a new business that could be involving anything from jewelry. I mean, we're talking beauty, we're talking money, from jewelry to fashion to hairdressing, beautifying. I don't know, for some reason wine. I see wine everywhere here as well. And maybe something that has been going on really well is now kind of like falling behind, and it's really worrying you in this particular case. If this doesn't apply, then actually this can talk about relationship and feeling very strong and feeling kind of like there's an exchange, but nonetheless still there is a lack of commitment in this particular situation. It could also be something in your life that has to do a lot with jealousy. It has to do a lot with some kind of issues. The Strength card is, you might be connecting with Taurus, you might be connecting with Leo or with another air sign here, clearly that we are seeing. But the Strength card reverses. It can talk about aggression. It can talk about somebody not even trying to be diplomatic about the situation, and they're sort of like obnoxious in how basically they approach the situation, and that really rubs you the wrong way, because the King of Pentacles is always trying to be always networking, and is always trying not to burn the bridges, sort of a thing. But somebody is burning the bridge this particular week, and this could also be a conversation about some commitment and somebody clarifying, hey, you know, one person clearly wants something, another person doesn't. So there is like a huge discrepancy over here that I see, and it's going to kind of like get some bad words, or it's going to kind of like bring certain things from the past. Yes, you did it to me, and that kind of stuff. So let me see these two cards, what clarification we have. We have a Melody. See, we have the Wedding also reversed, and we have a Messenger here as well. So Melody nonetheless is, to me, always talks about depression more than less, right? But given what we are going through, like, I really don't like to see this. It could be some weakened state of illness, literally, right? It can really talk about unpleasant changes, right? But it could be physical, as I said, but the sickness could be simply a flawed relationship due to some kind of like bad behavior, either on your part or on the part of the other party, right? So that can mean that, I don't know, maybe you're like dealing with a relationship that is kind of shallow or only physical and not healthy, right? So it could be also that communication is flawed. It could be lots of rambling and misleading and confusing, right? So this can also talk about some kind of like loneliness and possibly literally suffering the isolation or confinement. Wedding card in this particular deck is more or less talking about ceremonies and legalities and your responsibilities, right? When it's reversed, just like I told you here, like something is not uniting over here properly, right? Maybe there is like, I mean, a past marriage or partnership that is significantly playing a role over here. Maybe there is like a broken engagement that can talk about, hey, love that dies, and something is kind of washed over, you're returning things to somebody, something is being ill-fated. Sorry that I'm bringing you bad news, but I'm seeing this, that it could be also almost like a clandestine romance where, you know, something is happening that is leading nowhere. But the messenger is really interesting because it's connecting to this like 10 of swords reverse, which really talks about all of this pain and everything that has been is now being pulled, and it's still painful when you pull that sword out, right? And kind of like how do you deal with this? But the messenger is getting some kind of like good news. So this is kind of like the dark is done, like you're climbing up from the hole, right? Things are like, I mean, again, moving forward, right? So whether or not you have been sick, you're recovering, right? There is like, I mean, changes and new offers. It could be a visit by a dear person of some sort, right? So communication will be very, very important. So be very careful if somebody is not willing to kind of like meet you halfway in that kind of respect, because that's what's going to be basically downfall in the situation. Maybe you're going to just decide, I don't want to deal with certain things anymore, and it's over, and just like simply even send it via email or text and not even bother. We will see. My dear Libra, I would really like to know what the heck is going on. Barbie's Libra, you tell me, what the heck is this all about? It's really, really weird. So, I'm on point. I really didn't want to be on point on this one, but okay. So Kylie is saying, just tired and restless, burning the candles at both ends with my own studies and homeschooling with my youngest. I can imagine, like I'm hearing that people are, well, I know my brother is losing it with being with kids at home. So Gemini, and in Europe they're doing it much longer than what we are doing it over here. So now they're talking about reopening things because people are restless, but that might lead to more disaster. We'll see. We'll see what works out. Okay, Gemini. 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 So you have 8 of Swords reversed. You have Judgment reversed. And then you have a 4 of Cups reversed. I'm not very surprised. This whole entire situation for a sign like yours, just like the sign of Aries, is extremely stressful. You're like the second sign that kind of like really suffers quite a bit out of it. And I think these rules are making you pull your hair out. You absolutely hated every little bit out of it. And this is clearly, I think you're feeling that you're being imprisoned. You're feeling, you know, that there's like nothing you can do. Like, I mean, even though you might not be personally extrovert, but your sign is very extroverted, and there's like connection, communication that really wants to be established with the other people. The 8 of Swords upright is really talking about this woman who clearly she's not aware that she's kind of like loosey-goosey tied up and she can actually escape the situation. But the way she was placed there, she doesn't know if her assailant and enemies are still around her, if they want to hurt her, do any harm to her, but she's feeling the coldness of the water and the breeze, and she's just like immobile. But when this reverses, it's kind of like getting to the point of you saying, forget it, I don't care anymore, I'm moving forward, and something is going to be premature in your case. That motion forward can cost you. This is a karma card, and it's saying that most likely you'll be on the receiving end of something. So be very careful how much and where you go, because almost looks like you might get in one of those pretentious, you know, ticket giver or something like that. But it's going to be something that is going to be highly karmic, and it's not going to feel right. Sort of like the punishment is not going to fit the crime, and you're going to be really puzzled about it and very, very unhappy about it. I really have to add, right? And that's kind of like going to leave you like reeling and thinking and feeling kind of like really unhappy about the situation, because after all you finally decided, I need to move out of this being stuck. But really the truth, out there is like just to be in observer mode, in kind of like trying, like, and this is like something where you can shift. I know that you really want these interchanges and interactions, so try to go and do the Facebook and different things and how to kind of like deal with this, but at the same time, it is kind of like really important for you to kind of shift your craving for knowledge and your craving for connecting with people in a kind of like different direction, where you're almost like studios, where you can just sit somewhere and observe people. Mind you, like in Toronto we cannot even sit anywhere because you will get fined, so it's really weird. I'm just telling you what they read. Maybe just sitting in your garden and like watching people passing by, so that is possible. So let me see what we get over here for you. So we have the room, we have prison. Literally it's the same thing, room and prison, but it's getting out of prison and it's the wedding. You freaking have enough. You want to integrate with people. You probably just don't care right now, like, I mean, what is the reason, what is the logic to it? You just want out, and so just be careful. I mean, prison card is still there, so when it reverses, like, it means getting out of prison, which is a good thing, because the judgment reversed is not the greatest thing, because it really talks about, you know, anxiety and loneliness. But something about this punishment or this period is kind of like ending here for you, and you know, it's also kind of like maybe that you have been suffering a creative block of some sort, and kind of like certain things are kind of like really needed right now. So there is like possible a negative situation that kind of like you felt, kind of like you're suffering, and especially if you have been, let's say, either withdrawn or, like, I mean, distance from somebody who is really important, for those of you who just started a flirting kind of like season. But then you have this wedding thing, and this is really interesting because it's merging with this like Four of Cups. So something that you really wanted to get closer to is now showing new obligations and new responsibilities and contracts, which is kind of like to you now basically heralding loss of independence. And you're saying, well, wait a minute, that's not exactly what I really wanted. So it's going to be some kind of like change that is going to happen, and you know, it can be something very significant, either a meeting or partnership that is going forward, but you really have to kind of like make it sit properly. It is very difficult for you to find a firm ground about that and find confidence in moving forward. So it's going to be a little bit kind of like iffy situation, but nonetheless I will have to tell you, get out of the prison card over here, which is very important. And then of course my sign last, let's see, Aquarians. Hello Vicky, aloha, nice to see you. And Aquarius, 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 Aquarius. Is it a cat in a box, Barbie? Cat getting out of the box, super cute. Aquarius, Aquarius. We have King of Cups, and we have a Knight of Swords, and then we have a Knight of Wands. People, people, and people. Well, what can I tell you? It will be different flavors. It will be from people who are understanding of us and what we are going through, to people who probably have the edge of some kind of like sort, and it's really difficult to kind of like deal with them, to kind of like some sense of adventure. It is really weird because we are starting a week with trying to think that we don't really want anything anybody around. There is like a lots of emotional expression going forward, but something is going to jolt us right into the action for some kind of reason. This Knight of Swords reverse, it can mean somebody really obnoxious that kind of like really makes us really, really angry. It could be us getting angry for one reason or another. And the Knight of Wands is kind of like jumping to action, which is kind of like a really good thing, which means that we might be provoked. It could be something really happening that is maybe going to destabilize the situation of some sort. So let me just see this reunion. Maybe somebody's trying to come back, but it's not going to be in the reunion. Maybe we are thinking about somebody that we would like back of some kind of like sort. And then we have a scholar, and then we have joyfulness, all reversed. So somebody is basically either going to be on our mind because we kind of like have thoughts about this person, or somebody is going to really contact us. And it's going to be something that is going to be really hard to kind of like jump into action. Scholar is reversing, which means that we do not have educated decision about something, right, of some sort, right? When this reunion card really comes reversed, it's kind of like talking about there's like something that is postponed or canceled meeting, or but maybe it's also something that we have been avoiding for a while. And it almost like we are kind of like forced into that. So it could be like, I mean, we don't want to deal with taxes, and now we are forced, we have to do it. It's coming usually at the worst possible kind of like time anyway, right? So if this is some kind of like a business situation, I don't know, it could be some important meeting that is not going to take place, right? And there's going to be no explanation why, or we need to meet with somebody who we really kind of like put lots of hopes in it, and that person all of a sudden is just like it's nowhere, right? Be very careful about that, right? Because this is like about healing as well, and this is going to be something that I feel it's really difficult because it involves other people, it involves the activity of the other people, right? And almost like that we feel that we are being kind of like we got the short end of the stick, we are cut short of some kind of like reason, because this joyfulness, it's generally to me about the friends and friends getting together, right? But we are going to be really restless this week, and maybe even disappointed, right? It could be lack of initiative. Well, I guess we are being kind of demotivated this week, and could be like a financial challenges as well, right? So be very careful, especially when it kind of like comes to time of working with your family, because it can kind of like bring some kind of like old issues to the surface. But really good news that the nights are very transient and transitory, and even though it could be I guess 2 other people with whom we will have to have a really close contact, or even 3 people, that ultimately this is not a good time to make any decision. Even if we are cornered, try to bide your time and try to kind of like postpone it for the next week. And or if you try to get something to be answered to you, just be patient, because for this week this is not really best thing to do. But this is not to say that you cannot do your planning, you cannot do your strategy, and you cannot kind of like speak to somebody about how this makes you feel. So this is it. We are going to do another doors, as Barbie is slamming her fist down. And so guys, think of the question that you'll have. I'm going to cover this up over here so I can shuffle without you seeing the cards that kind of jump through. So let's see, the door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3. I have 2 cards for door number 3. So let's see who picked what. So if you guys picked door number 1, the answer is King of Pentacles. So something is going to really work out for you. and it's going to work out whether this is a financial question or something about relationship. It might happen within a month, and it might happen with receiving some kind of gift or settlement or even a love proposal. King of Pentacles to me is also husband, so it can be even a marriage proposal of some sort. So this is actually really, really positive card. Then well, hello Sun and Moon, like, I mean, have a good good day and good week, so I look forward to seeing you again. So who picked number 2 is Queen of Rods. So this is also yes, but like both the first and the second will possibly depend on the other people. Queen of Rods is also a lawyer, and this might be connecting to some kind of like legal question, which kind of like means that somebody needs to step in order to kind of like get this answer. And this is also yes, and this can be like, I mean, something really swift, something really good, and or maybe a woman might give you a hint or answer about the direction in which you need to take. And the door number 3, we have the Empress, and we have this like 10 of Swords. Well, now this is really, really different. I really think that this question, and I really don't know if you had the love question, because the Empress, again, it's a Venus. It can be both money and love. And it's really telling me that on both ends, you really need to be cautious. There is like some kind of like sense of betrayal or some sense of investing into issues that are not worth investing. And that certain things really need to be really looked in a comfortable way. It looks like that you really want to help somebody really close to you, and it can be seen that you're trying to pick somebody up who kind of like fell or who is in a really difficult situation. Be very, very careful if you're asking if you're going to get your money back or something. It's not going to be in any short term. This is like, I mean, situation which I would say most likely it's a no, and you have to be very, very careful, and you really have to spend lots of time nourishing yourself versus investment of any kind of like kind this time around. So it's very, very important. All right, CBO music. Well, interviews are happening, so you're going to be seen like very energetic, and it's going to be really awesome. So that's much from me, guys. I have to drive down to Niagara. I cannot see my dad, imagine that. I cannot go to the hospital. I just need to drop off his clean stuff at the reception. It's just crazy driving that much just to drop off some stuff, because even the store at the hospital is not working. But at least he finally is going to get the care he needs. So I love everybody, guys. Be really well. I'm going to play some quick music for us to say something. You guys have a wonderful week, wonderful weekend, and I'll be talking to you very soon. Love you, love you, love you. Join us next time on Saturday. Don't forget. All the best. And this is very, very quiet, so let me just try to put it a little bit louder. There we go. Love you guys. Have a wonderful and beautiful weekend. Thanks for spending CATURDAY with us.